2030. Today we get to look at the factors behind the growth of this sector with Rodney James, who is a sector player but also the communications officer with the Uganda National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Alliance. You're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in the show.
Right.
Actually, just a correction. My name is Bernard Mbaine.
Bernard, you're most welcome.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So, Bernard, first help us understand this renewable energy sector. What does it include in the first place?
Thank you. Specifically, like you put it, renewable energy, here we look at the energy sources that are clean and do not produce emissions that dirten the environment. Of course, there's quite a talk about climate change and reducing emissions. So we look at these technologies that are clean. But specifically for today, we are looking at distributed renewable energies. So here we are looking at technologies that are not necessarily connected to the grid. We have, examples of solar home systems. We look at, the mini grids, the commercial and industrial systems. So these are not necessarily connected to the grid, but are there to serve the underserved communities, the population that are not connected to the grid in the country.
And at such a time as this, what is the reception and consumption of this off-grid energy?
Yes, I think in the recent past there has been a lot of growth. We see a rise in the number of systems that are being installed across the country. Of course, we also recognize, if you look at the current energy access for the country, 57% of our population have access to electricity, but of this 57%, 38% comes from the distributed renewable energy. So it shows you how impactful and significant it is, because it covers the biggest population. Of course, we understand that it's quite expensive to extend the grid to all the communities, having to put in our minds that the setup of our communities, which are sparsely distributed. So therefore, distributed renewable energy comes handy to cover that gap where the grid does not extend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before COVID-19, distributed renewable energy had created employment for about 35,000 Ugandans. I think that's a commendable thing.
Yes,
and then COVID came. So I want to find out from you, did that number go down or did it go up?
So in our study, the Powering Jobs report that we launched recently, we did a survey to find out what exactly the job landscape is looking like, and we see that there is a 15% reduction in the jobs created. That is in 2021 compared to the 2019, where we had around 35,000 jobs, like you put it. So 2021 has about 30,000 jobs, so which is a reduction of about 15%. And of course, this is not an isolated case. We also see a reduction in the overall economy in the other employment areas, a reduction of about 18%. So this is, of course, attributed to the COVID-19 pandemics, which, of course, caused quite a lot of disruptions within the economy. It could be movements, it could be there's a decline overall in the sales of solar home systems. And of course, most of these distributed renewable energy companies, when the sales go down, so they resort to reducing on the numbers of the employees, and all these other issues, of course, that attribute to this decrease.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then that begs the question that, yes, COVID-19 came, but it has gone literally. And so that means that yet there's an opportunity for growth of employment platforms. So as the Alliance, how are you attracting these people to come back and contribute to the sector's performance?
Okay, yes. So we're starting to see recovery from the COVID-19 in terms of the jobs created, and we still hope that now we'll start to see a rise in the job employment again. And of course, now that all these restrictions that were related to COVID-19 are lifted, and as Alliance, as the Alliance that I represent, the Uganda National Renewable Energy Efficiency Alliance, we represent the companies that are distributing these renewable energy systems. And you know, it is our job, first of all, to bring them together, but also to see what are the employment opportunities available for the youth. We see in our recent survey, we see that the skills gap is one of the key issues that comes up, that the companies point out. And this is you know, skills across, it could be soft skills, it is hard skills, things to do with you know, the skills for installation and maintenance of these systems. So we are trying to you know, see how to create opportunities. Recently, UNREA launched what we call the internship portal. So here we are trying to connect you know, the technicians or the employees with the employers, and you know, this portal is available at our website. So trying to see how to work with these companies to be able to create jobs, but also training, because we know that skilling is one of those needs in the sector. So we work with different other partners and the government to ensure that we put in place skilling programs to be able to have more competent people to take up the opportunities within the sector.
Okay, all right. The question that I want to get an answer to is the characteristics of the skilling and the employment that you're talking about that is generated by the distributed renewable energy sector, and how people can actually access these jobs in case they have the characteristics or the skills that you need.
Okay, thank you. So the Powering Jobs census 2022 indicated that the solar home systems employ the largest share of the market. We see about 99% being employed by the solar home system sections alone, and then the other sectors, that is, you know, the commercial and industrial and the mini grid sector, employ about the remaining 1%. And of course, this is an eye-opener for us as private sector, but also to the government, that there is quite a lot that needs to be done, especially in the mini grid sector, to see that we can create more jobs in that area. And of course, here we look at direct jobs. We are aware that the mini grids and the commercial and industrial, in most cases, create more of the induced and indirect jobs. Because of their nature, in most cases, these are looking at not only you know, supply of the electricity for a household, but rather productive use of energy. You know, someone can use the energy to generate some income, and therefore in that line you have a lot of more induced jobs and indirect jobs. I'll give an example. If you have a mini grid or a solar system come into a location, and maybe someone is able to put up a saloon, so it means that that person who is coming to work in the saloon gets an induced job, but also, for example, this person is going to eat lunch. So that means someone who supplies the lunch to that person is having an indirect job. So the mini grids and the commercial industry create more of induced and indirect jobs, whereas the solar home systems, which are the systems we use at our houses, these create more of the direct jobs in terms of the direct employment to the people. And then maybe lastly on that, we see that there's quite a lot of, there's 20% representation of the informal employment within the sector. And of course, this is key to note, but it shows a lower value compared to the overall economy, because the overall economy has over 90% informal jobs, if you're aware. So this is generally the characteristic of the employment within the distributed.
Okay, let's bring the conversation down to inclusion. In terms of participation, gender participation, what is the percentage of female participation in distributed renewable energies?
Yeah. Like in many other countries, the renewable energy sector, or the energy sector per se, is known to be male-dominated, that we know. So in this study, we see that 28% of women are being, employed within the sector. Of course, that we're looking at direct jobs, and of course, this is a lower value compared to the overall employment sector in the country, where about 49% of the women are involved in the different jobs. But during the different conversations within the survey, there's quite very high interest by the companies to be able to increase the participation of women, and we expect that probably by 2030 we could see around 40% of women inclusion in the sector.
Okay, so interest could be there for the companies, but of course I know that it would have to take maybe an authority such as the Alliance to actually push for that to become a reality. So as the Alliance, how are you actually going to be aiding an enabling environment for women to be attracted to the sector?
Yes, thank you. So of course there is, first of all, you have to create awareness for the people, because some of these things are really related to mindset. You really need to create awareness and let everyone know that it's not a male job. You know, the ladies can equally perform as much as the males can do. So once awareness is created across the sector, I believe that we could see a lot of increase in that line. So as the Alliance, we're trying to create more awareness in regards to people being able to employ both genders equally. And of course, it also comes with training. So we need to train women the more, whenever we have trainings, to try and make sure we include women and train them equally to ensure that at the end of the day we have an increase in that. And of course, maybe one unique thing within the survey, the good news is that within the survey we discovered that women receive or earn 96% of their compared to their male counterparts within the sector. And for us this is good news, because if you compare with the other countries, the survey shows that there's quite a big gap between what women earn and the males within the same positions of employment. So this shows that there's will to employ and pay women equally within the sector.
All right, bring it down to youth scaling and community empowerment. As the Alliance, what are those programs or initiatives that you've put out to scale the youth, but also to have the community part of these projects?
Thank you. So as UNREA, we are conducting several programs, and training and capacity building is at the heart of what we do. We have several programs. Currently we have an ongoing program with the USAID ICYD program, where we are looking at training the vulnerable youth, and we've conducted trainings basically in areas of biomass, areas of solar and biogas, and we also work with partners who are implementing quite different training programs. And for us as an Alliance, the other key issue is we also go ahead to look into the quality of the trainings, because there's quite a lot of training going on, but it is also important that somebody should look into the quality of what is being trained to the people, and that is for us very important, so that once these people get the skills, they're able to use the skills to earn a living, but also to improve the sector. So yeah, we have such programs, and we work with different youth groups because we are aware that the youth are the people for tomorrow. And whenever we are talking about climate change, it is important that we include the youth in these conversations and give them the required capacity to be able to take on these programs, because they will be living in the world of the future. So whatever harm happens to the environment, I think affects them more as the next generation.
Okay, so Bernard, the reality of the matter is that technology is now the way to go. So how are you marrying technology with the present distributed renewable energy opportunities that we do have in the country today?
Yes, thank you. So we appreciate and appreciate technology. There's quite a lot of innovations that are going around. I think of late you should have seen a lot of the pay-go systems, and this was an innovation to help these companies who are giving probably flexible payment mechanism, like you give a system to someone, but someone does not have money to pay up front for this system. So you're able to use the pay-go system, and this person could be able to pay in installments. But being enabled by technology, you're able to monitor the systems, you're able to monitor the performance of the systems, which is really very important, and you're able to have some assurance as the company that you will recover your costs. So pay-go system is one of those, but there's quite a lot of technologies which help to monitor, which enable performance of these renewable energy systems. And we support quite a lot of innovation, working together with the government. There's quite a lot of support towards innovation. Currently, in the next week, from the 3rd to the 5th, we have the Renewable Energy Conference going on in Munyonyo. And as part of this, there is an innovation challenge. So all of these programs are geared to ensure that we trigger our youth to be able to create the technologies that could enable the increase in the renewable energy system.
Okay, a final question to the consumer. I know that renewable energy and clean energy is the way to go, especially in averting the climate change damage that has been done, especially to our country, Uganda. So speak to us about the advantages of using these kind of energies.
Yeah, I think so. Renewable energy has quite a lot of advantages, not only helping us to fight the climate change related impacts, but we see that renewable energy systems are affordable, provide reliable form of energy, because there is the energy independence that comes with having probably a distributed renewable energy. You don't need to worry about probably when the grid goes off, you're able to switch on, or you're able to depend on your own power, and reliability is really very key as we're providing energy, because energy is a service and you never know when someone needs to use the power. So they should be able to have the power whenever they want it. So that means that independence and reliability is very key, and it's an advantage of renewable energy. Of course, we talk about the jobs creation. We talk about the related health issues. You know that there's quite a lot of indoor pollution that is caused by using unclean, either cooking technologies, lighting technologies. For example, if someone is using a candle or a kerosene lamp, there's quite a lot of indoor pollution, and all of these are associated to health-related challenges. So using cleaner technologies does not only benefit us, in terms of fighting climate change, but rather, the other aspects, health and all of this.
Thank you so much, Bernard, and that is exactly how